Joining me now to discuss this, CNN legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Shan, former assistant U.S. Attorney Kim Whaley, and CNN's Kara Scannell. Kim, I want to ask you, President Trump said back in April that he doesn't see Michael Cohen flipping. What do you read when you see Michael Cohen's comments this morning? Does this suggest that it's a done deal, he's going to turn against the president?
Well, certainly now that he has new counsel, and we've seen this with other witnesses, right, with Mr. Gates as well as with Mike Flynn, that there was a decision to cooperate after getting a lawyer that is going to negotiate that kind of situation. We don't know why he's out publicly making these statements, but what is stunning to me is what Caitlin reported in terms of how he's taking opinions on what has been super polarizing across the nation and as well as in Congress. The notion that the FBI is corrupt, the notion that that Mr. Mueller's investigation is a witch hunt, the idea that Putin is not a threat to American democracy. And to me, those are fighting words. It's unfortunate they're fighting words because these are extremely serious issues, and the integrity of our Justice Department is something that we all should pay attention to. But I would certainly draw from this a very strong inclination that he's about to cooperate, or if he's not already in negotiations.
Sort of laying the groundwork for it.
New York.
And Cohen was asked how he would respond if the president or his legal team tried to come after him. Cohen said, "I will not be a punching bag as part of anyone's defense strategy. I am not a villain of this story, and I will not allow others to try to depict me that way." Kara, what do you make of this, this interview, the final breaking of the relationship between President Trump and Michael Cohen? Is that, I mean, he is making it very clear his loyalties with his family, his loyalties with his country, not with the president. Not something you hear very often in Trump world.
No, not at all, and something that we haven't heard Michael Cohen say. I mean, we had that mashup of him just reaffirming his loyalty to Trump no matter what, and this is the first time we've heard Cohen speak since this FBI raid on his home office and hotel room in April. He very strongly is attacking these points of components that Trump has been very strong on, and he's saying very clearly, his loyalty to his family crystal clear. And this comes after Cohen has been sending up smoke signals through friends that have all been saying Cohen's feeling isolated. He feels angered about some of the comments that the president has made and that his lawyer Rudy Giuliani has made. So this is really, strong words. First time we're hearing Cohen say, his loyalty is to his family and not to the president.
It almost sounds like, Shannon, that Michael Cohen feels almost betrayed by the president. When asked if the president directed him to pay Stormy Daniels, as Caitlin Collins was just reporting, the $130,000 hush money, Cohen said, "I want to answer. One day I will answer, but for now I can't comment further on advice of my counsel." It sounds as if Michael Cohen is dangling that over the president's head.
Yeah, he certainly sounds like a man who now is very aware of whose hand is going to be potentially feeding him, and he wants to make sure he doesn't bite that hand, backing away from the witch hunt kind of language. And I think in light of the documents that are now being discussed, I mean, he now knows what the government knows, so I think he's clearly worried. That kind of language, "my family comes first," is oftentimes code word for being very concerned about the financial strain that this is going to have on him if he continues to fight.
Meaning if he doesn't cooperate with federal prosecutors, and this is a long, drawn-out process, he's essentially signaling to the president, "Mr. President, as much as I like you and have worked for you all these years, I have to do something to protect my family here." And Kim, let me ask you this. I think Caitlin was also talking about this, and you talked about this as well. In front of Cohen, telling CNN that friends have been encouraging him to get out there, get his voice out there, because they believe that winning over the court of public opinion is important. I mean, can Michael Cohen really win over the court of public opinion? I mean, they see him as so tied to this president.
Sure. I mean, but the statement that stuck with me was the notion when he said, "I want to get my name, my reputation, and my life back." I mean, that's a pretty profound statement, that through cooperation with the federal government, potentially, that he could actually get his life back. I mean, that's pretty dramatic. So we don't know emotionally what is behind this interview with George Stephanopoulos, but it was obviously carefully orchestrated, where his lawyers made sure there was no audio, there was no video, there was no transcript released. So his statements were cabined in a way that he was not exposing himself to additional liability, which is different from what we're seeing from the president's team, Rudy Giuliani in particular, with respect to the president himself.
That's true. And in the interview, Cohen did not offer any praise for President Trump. He even disagreed with him on several points. He doesn't like the use of the word witch hunt for the Russia probe. He says he refuses to demonize the FBI, which I thought was very interesting. He reiterated how he thanked the FBI after they finished sweeping all of his properties. He condemns Russian meddling in the U.S. election. He seems to be trying to carve out, he slams the Trump Tower meeting back in 2016, and he goes out of his way to disparage the immigration policy the president's been conducting down on the border, separating children from their families. It's almost as if he's trying to detach himself from Trump world, from the president. I'm no longer a part of your world anymore, Mr. President.
I think that's right, Jim. I mean, Trump called the raid an attack on our country, and Cohen is saying they were so professional, I shook their hand. Right. He's also the one that has this very acute investigation that he's facing, and he's starting to have the realization of the impact that it could have on his family. So I think he is going one by one on several of these very strong themes that Trump has said throughout the presidency, the witch hunt, the raid on the office, and he is saying he doesn't view it that way. He is distancing himself, respectful of law enforcement, because I think he wants to be able to have a relationship with them if he does want to cooperate, as it seems to be indicating from this interview.
And Shan, where do you think it goes from here?
Well, I think Kara's right. This is clearly a signal that either his lawyers are already speaking with the prosecutors or they're about to, because the message to him is, hey, you better stop attacking the prosecution. Next step, if he's going to cooperate, that's all behind the scenes, that kind of negotiations being done, and they'll have proffer sessions just with the lawyers without him first. So I think it'll take some time, but Mueller's team's very aggressive, very fast, and we may suddenly hear that there's a plea deal.
Interesting. All right, Shan, Kim, and Kara, thank you so much for all of that. Appreciate it. The other big news